Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about something that challenges pretty much everything we think we know about one of life's most fundamental experiences. We're going to take the instruction manual for sex that society has handed us, and we're going to tear it apart, using Valérie Tasso's incredible anti-manual as our guide.
Think about that for a second. Tasso's point is that we talk about sex so much, on TV, in magazines, online, that we've actually managed to bury the real thing. And that raises a huge question, one that's at the heart of her work. What did we replace it with? And more importantly, how do we get back to what's actually real?
Okay, so let's get into this whole idea of an anti-manual. Tasso's book isn't here to give you new rules or a list of techniques. No, its purpose is the complete opposite, to demolish the rigid, prepackaged model of sex that we've all been sold. It's literally a tool for taking things apart.
So who is this person? Well, Tasso's background is anything but typical. She has degrees in economics and languages, she was a corporate manager, and she also spent time working in high-class prostitution. And that combination is exactly what makes her perspective so powerful. She's not just some academic in an ivory tower, she combines that intellectual rigor with lived experience from a world most of us will never see. This idea, this one sentence a lover once said to her, really became the core of her entire philosophy. The idea that sex isn't this fixed, solid thing that's the same for everyone. It's a concept, a story we tell. And Tasso's big argument is that the story we're usually told is, well, a lie.
All right, so this brings us to what Tasso calls the Great Deception. This is the central problem she identifies. She argues that our culture has systematically replaced something authentic and wild with a cheap, mass-produced fake.
So what is this great deception? How have we all been fooled? To explain it, Tasso uses this brilliant metaphor that really just hits you right between the eyes.
Okay, so check this out. Tasso compares authentic sex to real, wild baby eels, something rare, elusive, and uncontrollable. But what our culture gives us instead, the endless talk about sex, is like surimi, that cheap, processed crab-flavored paste. It's a predictable, mass-produced substitute. We've been told we're eating the real thing, but we've been munching on a cheap imitation the whole time.
And this fake stuff, this surimi, it has a name: the normative discourse. She says it's basically an ideological program. It's been designed over centuries by different forms of morality, whether that's religious, medical, or even scientific, all to create this one, single, controllable, and, let's be honest, predictable version of what sexuality is supposed to be.
And this false model, it stands on three main pillars. First up, you've got coitocentrism, this obsession with intercourse as the main goal. Then there's phallocentrism, which puts the male experience and perspective at the very center of everything. And finally, the couple, which is presented as the one and only legitimate place for sex to happen. You can see how these three pillars just shrink the entire universe of what's possible.
So, if that's the model, how do we break it? This is where the anti-manual really gets to work. Tasso goes after the big myths one by one, and she shows how they're all just tools designed to keep us inside that restrictive little box.
Let's start with a big one, the idea that orgasm is the goal. Tasso says this thinking turns sex into a job, a task with a deadline. She has this fantastic line: the destination is for business travelers, the journey is for travelers. Sex, in her view, is supposed to be a journey, not just a race to a finish line.
And she brings this to life with a story about a client. When she asked him what he truly desired in that moment, he just wanted to finish watching the movie they had started. His response? The film has just started. I mean, wow, it's a perfect, simple example of how authentic desire just doesn't care about our pre-written scripts.
Then there's the whole idea of preliminaries. Just think about that word for a second. Preliminary. It automatically implies that everything that isn't intercourse is just a warm-up act for the headliner. Tasso says this coitocentrism completely erases the value and the beauty of the huge, vast landscape of eroticism that exists outside of that one single act. Tasso also sees desire as this deeply creative thing, a narrative in itself. She tells this other story about a client who simply paid for her time so she would read erotic literature out loud to him. That's it. And that experience showed her that a desire isn't just a biological itch that needs scratching. A desire is already a film, a whole story. Then, of course, we have to tackle that old, tired stereotype. Men are always eager for sex, and women, not so much. Tasso calls this out for exactly what it is. It's not biology, folks. It's a social construct, plain and simple, and one that was largely designed to control and police female desire. So, if we tear down all the myths, what's left? What do we build in their place? This is where Tasso takes things to a whole other level. For her, sex isn't just physical, it's metaphysical. Now, to explain this, she pulls in an idea from the philosopher Spinoza. It's a concept called conatus. Stick with me here. Conatus is basically the fundamental, powerful drive in every single living thing to just keep on being itself, to persist, to express its own true nature. Tasso calls it an obstinacy to be yourself. I love that. And here is where it all clicks into place. For Tasso, sex, once you strip away all the moral baggage and the scripts, is one of the purest, most direct ways we get to express our conatus. It becomes this incredible tool for exploring who we really are deep down.
And that brings us to the whole point of the anti-manual. It's about reframing the entire purpose. As Tasso says so perfectly, sex isn't a performance to be judged as good or bad. It's an experience that can give us profound answers to that biggest of questions. Who am I?
So in the end, by tearing down that official manual, Tasso doesn't just hand us a new one. Nope, she hands the pen back to you. She challenges all of us to look at our own experiences, our own desires, our own beliefs, and leads us to ask ourselves, if sex isn't a one-size-fits-all manual, what does my own personal anti-manual look like?